Welcome tonight. You are on LSM tonight, the LSM television channel. I'm meteorologist David Neal. We'll have Brett Adair on here in just a few moments. We got Drew Richards, who is with us tonight. He's running the board. He's running audio, camera. He's gripped tonight, and he vacuumed earlier tonight here into the studio. So we're so happy to have Drew with us. Drew, we'll be talking to you in just a couple of seconds. What a day, what a day, what a day. I've had just a huge day today, and I know you don't want to really hear about me and my day, but I swallowed the tip of a pen earlier in the day today. I'm feeling a little queasy as one of these pens, and I'll tell you all about that. We have some video of that actually going down, and whether or not I should be going to the ER is questionable at this moment. But we're also talking about what is going on in the western United States. Drew, we got this, I don't know why I would really expect the weather to be any different than abnormal, because it's been that way for a while now. It's been one of the weirdest summers that I can remember going down here into the state of Alabama. I know for a lot of people out west, it's just been the hottest thing you've ever gone through. Meanwhile, in other portions of the country, like here in North Alabama, we've had some somewhat cool weather. We just had a front go through, and we were like 5 or 6 degrees away from record low temperature readings a couple of mornings ago. So it's been super weird, and why not? Now a super weird tropical situation going down out into the eastern Pacific. This is just to the west of the Baja and moving northward, and now it's going to affect Southern California. Not a whole lot at this point. We're going to tell you about those effects coming up. First of all, Drew, how are you tonight?
Good, David. How are you doing other than swallowing the pen tip?
Yeah, that's the way that happened, the way that went down. I have a roommate, and she likes me, or I would have filed some sort of thing by now with the police department, because it was the way it went down. I just it's a trust issue. We'll get into that later when we run out of other stuff to talk about. Right now, I think people want to talk about the weather, and we've got Luna's with us. Joseph is with us tonight. We got Josh, Scarlett, Poppyfield. Hey, Scarlett, how are you? She has on a sweater tonight, and it's 61 degrees wherever she is. Joseph is with us here. Ocean heat's crazy in the Caribbean. And we're going to talk about that in just a few moments, because we did, as of just a little while ago, we got a new update. We got a bunch of stuff coming up. Not only a situation into the Gulf of Mexico as we move along, but we got 4 or 5 things now. There was just X's all over the place when we looked at it a few moments ago, out into the Atlantic, into the basin there. The main development area, if you will. But right now, let's talk about this first of all. This is going on in the western United States, across the Baja. Right now at 6 p.m. on Saturday, X marks the spot. And this is now a hurricane. It's got 100-mile-per-hour winds with it at the moment, so it's come down. Maximum sustained winds have come down. 2 key things here that I want you to notice, though. One is that the forward motion is up there. North-northwest at about 17. That's a little bit high, but it's only going to get caught up into the southerlies here. The upper level southerlies, and you can see the distance between points that it's drawn out. These are 12-hour segments, and so we're going to go from hurricane down to what is just going to be considered a tropical depression at this point before getting into Southern California. And Drew, we know this. We know that we go counterclockwise here when we're in the northern hemisphere, so we're going to have spin, but that's going to be an offshore situation as far as the wind goes there for Southern California. For all the Baja, actually, it'll be most of that's going to be an east wind that'll be pushing offshore. And so we don't have anything as far as a true situation where we're going to have any kind of a surge associated with this, at least not here. I could see one there into the Baja area, but it's not going to be there's not a whole lot of population there. So really, I think this is somewhat of a minor thing, and the forward motion takes away some of the big rains that could be seen if it just sat there.
Exactly. I think really getting ourselves into a better situation, because as you said, with the forward motion being so much faster, if you think back, Dave, just yesterday even looked like this thing was going to come in, late Sunday night into part of the day on Monday. And now we back that up, at least 12 hours and possibly 24 hours earlier in some locations. So that's really going to help out with the storm not sitting there dumping, excessive rainfall amounts for days and days and days. This thing gets in, drops a lot of rain in a quick amount of time, but thankfully does go north pretty quickly.
Yeah, if you noticed, it goes from the H hurricane down to not a tropical storm, but just winds less than 40 miles an hour there by what the S is telling us there, that we just have a low pressure and some of those winds that would be in the 39 to 73 mile per hour range right there, but then down pretty quickly here as we move further and further to the north, going through the mountains here eventually into the northeastern part of California, and then it is a rainmaker, but it stays into the southern flow. We'll look at that in the modeling in just a few moments and talk about that, but stays into that flow for a little while. Let me show you behind me here the graphic that we're looking at in Omega, and I can show you the path that it's expected to take here. What is going to happen is that we're going to go from the south to the north into Omega, and that will show you that's east of Los Angeles, east of Tijuana, Ensenada, and east Fresno. So that's going to be more of the precipitation that will be headed in across the mountainous areas there, eventually the eastern side of California, and not the rest of it. So that's one of those deals there where I think it's going to be a quick moving system as it goes on by and not really have a huge effect on the area other than some of the heavy rain that'll be following. I know I've been watching some of the coverage down there in the southern sections of the state of California. Let me see if I can show you this here too. So that's what we're expecting. San Quentin, this is going to be 85 mile per hour gusts, 70 miles. So it's not even a hurricane here. It's a tropical storm Hilary. And that's going to be at 1 p.m. tomorrow during the day. So we're already below hurricane strength at that point. And then we go way up here by midnight tomorrow night. 1 a.m. and we're looking at 60 mile per hour gusts here, 40 miles per hour wind speed, and storm movement, it says north-northwest. Didn't really say how fast, but I think it'll be booking by then. It'll be passing on by pretty quickly as it does so and beyond. Now back to my iPad here to show you the other part of this, and what we're looking at here is several possibilities, which, Drew, the other part of this was we went from June the 1st, the official start of the hurricane season as far as the calendar goes, all the way up here to late August now, the 19th of August, with very little going on into the tropics. There was some word, a week ago from NHC that it was still expected to be an above average sort of a situation. We go through November the 30th, by the way. Again, as far as the calendar goes, so we're looking at here, basically, we've got this X here that shows up with a low pressure center just offshore into the southern part of the state of Florida. It'll move into the western Gulf of Mexico. This is brand new now. They're saying some slow development is possible here, 20% over the 48-hour period, but 50% over the next 7 days. Whether or not that ends up going on shore a little bit quicker than the rest of the area, they call it disturbance 3, by the way, that might be the case. And then across the rest of the area, we still have, let me back this up a little bit. We still have everything that's going on here, and that is low pressure out here just to the north of, into the islands. Trinidad and Tobago, we're north of there, and this has a 50% chance of cyclone formation over the next 48 hours. Let me see if I can pull the 7-day up here again. It's got a really high chance, though, into the 7 days, and that's a 70% chance as it moves to the northwest in a fairly decent sort of an environment here that goes in south of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and then ends up moving westward toward Jamaica. And regardless of development, it's very heavy rain that will be falling here. Some additional development is possible, and a tropical depression could form by early in the week. In the next couple of days is what we'd be looking at as that comes on through and passes on by like that. And then we got a new depression. This is number 6 here. This is tropical depression number 6. Where's it going? Looks like it's going to move on to the west here, staying a tropical depression through Monday. That's not very fast forward motion at all. We're looking at about 16 miles per hour, it says, but winds are at 35, and it is expected to dissipate, actually. It's going to get into some of the shearing environment left over by the last thing that went on through. It can get too crowded, and I'm not sure that that's not the deal here that we're looking at is a crowd factor. We got this thing back to the west here. This looks a little bit like a fish storm to me, but that's got a 70% chance into the short term and the long term. Further development is expected here. It's early next week. Upper level winds over the system are forecast to increase. So you got a shearing environment there too that'll be coming up and moving into the area. And then the last thing coming off the coastline here, 30% over the 7-day period. And really all we're saying here is it got a little bit more exciting here in the days to come, and it's looking a little bit more like a tropical season as things evolve going through the rest of this month and into September, which is where our peak is.
That's right. It's crazy how active we got. It's just like somebody flipped the switch, because just a couple days ago, we're tracking Hilary, and that's about it. In the Atlantic and the Pacific, and now look at that map right there that you're showing. Just incredible, incredible how fast we have flipped that and got over active. You guys in chat, keep the questions coming. We are reading those. You guys are asking, is it going to run out of steam? Well, it's already weakening, so it's already on a weakening trend. Waters are cooler where Hilary is now, so yes, it is weakening, but will it run out of steam completely? No, not at all. Main threat will continue to be, has always been since we've been talking about this storm for a few days, the flood threat. So, even with this thing moving faster, more forward speed, maybe a little bit less rainfall amounts, doesn't take a whole lot, out there in the desert Southwest to get some really serious life-threatening flooding. So take this serious if you're in flood-prone locations out in the desert Southwest, because even though this thing is weakening, does not mean that you're not going to have tropical storm conditions. Where you have that tropical storm warning, the Weather Service does say in their text they're expecting 40 to 50 mile per hour sustained winds, which are your 2 minute average wind of 40 to 50 miles per hour. And they're expecting wind gusts 65 miles per hour or higher. So, when you talk about 65 to 70, that's a strong tropical storm, as far as the gusts go. So may have trees down, may have some power outages. And like we said, 2 to 4 inches of rain widespread. And if you think about, Death Valley, saw a news article the other day, I think their maximum 3-day rainfall ever in any storm is only like 1.75 inches. So, when we're talking about 2 to 3, maybe 4 inches of rain in Death Valley, like for us here in the Southeast, we can get a thunderstorm that drops 2, 3, or 4 inches of rain in 2 hours, but we're not talking about the same type of geography as other parts of the country. When you're hearing, 2 to 4 inches of rain, that's nothing. Well, for Death Valley, that's more than they've ever had, in any storm event. So that's why we're saying this still could be an unprecedented storm, even if it doesn't drop, 8 to 10 inches of rainfall.
Yeah, and the feeder bands stay out over the open water for a while, so it's not exactly a situation there that doesn't at least have moisture content available, because it does. It stays out there for a while and then moves on to the east. So just keeping that in mind now as we move through time. I think I just lost my iPad connection there for a second, but let me see if I can get it back on here really quickly. Okay. You may have to go to the other.
Okay, that's fine.
It froze the screen there. Let me get back on here. India just choked on me. But anyway, yeah, I think the feeder bands stay out there over the open water, so there's a lot of moisture that is available. Whether or not it makes it on shore makes it, exactly where it is. I see a lot of specific questions about, is this lake going to fill up? Is that lake going to fill up? And I'll just be honest with you, we don't know. Anybody who says they know is full of it. So, what we do know is that there's the modeling indicates there's, especially on the east side, the north and east side, there is trending to be quite a bit of precipitation. This is the GFS going into 10 a.m. Tomorrow morning. This is 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. The low pressure is no longer super deep. It's 992. 1013 is just average. So it's not that far away from the average. You will see winds. Now, when you see, these are lines of barometric pressure, equal barometric pressure. Those are called isobars. So as you see those, the wind flows parallel to each one of these isobars. So the tighter they are, the closer they are together, the wind speed is going to be. Pork Chop says it's going to fill up Groom Lake. That's a great question, Pork Chop. First of all, love the name. Secondly, Groom Lake. I know you're in tune to what's happening right now out in Groom Lake. Salton Sea could use some fresh water, says Craig. Vibra is with us, and a couple other people are with us here tonight. We really appreciate it. Luna Blue says hello, by the way, to everybody that is out there watching. So that's coming up from the Baja, moving northward into Ensenada, Tijuana. Going to get some rainfall there. And then, I can move it forward just a little bit, and we lose it. So by 10 p.m. tomorrow night, I think we're all the way up here into central sections of California, near Bakersfield, Los Angeles into Santa Clarita, and down to Riverside. There are tropical storm warnings that are in effect here now. These are warnings that are in effect during the day tomorrow, and this is going to be, I'll just read a couple of these to you. Typical forecast uncertainty in the track, size and intensity. The potential for the wind to gust up to 39 to 57. The wind threat has remained nearly steady from the previous assessment. But you know what? If you live in Southern California, that's not a lot. I mean, that's not what you would expect to hear a lot of damage from, because I know the folks there in Southern California end up getting quite a bit of high wind just channeling down through some of the canyons this time of the year. So that's really not tons, and not expected to be that way. Hold on, Brett's asking for the link. So can you send him the link?
Yeah, I sure can.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me just a second. I'll get it sent to him.
So he just woke up. Brett has been asleep for a while, and he just woke up, so he's going to join us now, and I think he's just give him a break. California northward. And let's go back to the west here just a little bit to show you the Gulf of Mexico. Now, according to the GFS, we'll look at that, and you can see this is that little system that comes to the western side of the Gulf. And it really doesn't have a whole lot of identity with it at this point. It looks like it comes on shore as just an open wave, and it moves across the rest of Texas at that point, sitting offshore. Into the Bay of Campeche, you got some rainfall here, too, as we go through the week into the 23rd. I wish that still had the date up there. It's 4 days from now. And then the Gulf of Mexico gets a little bit more interesting as we move along, because we do have a couple of systems that could be coming in. This is a diurnal rain situation going on here, landmass situation going on down to the south. And then back onto the east, we'll show you what's happening here out into the central sections of the Atlantic, into the main development area. If you like, there's low pressure after low pressure. The high pressure that's sitting to the north there is retrograding somewhat off to the north and east. This little low pressure that we're looking at right out here that goes to the north, that'd be on the 22nd, that's sitting there near the DR, ends up going northward and eastward according to the GFS. And a lot of you want to look at the European. Let's just look at the European if you want to and see what the model says about that. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot different at this point because, well, let's just look at it. And we'll look at some of the sea level pressures here as we go through, and I can show you that they don't show up a whole lot at the moment. Let's see if we can show precipitation and see what we got. Maybe we can show it this way. All right, so there's a couple of systems again down to the south there. There's the European working its way from west to east. And so the low track, much of what's coming in from the Cape Verde or off the coast of Africa seems to be diverted off to the north, really going around the backside of the high pressure that's pretty far to the northeast there at that time. But you do have what's going on here into the Gulf of Mexico, a little bit of stuff here and there. And watch that. That's into the western Gulf, but I don't think it's got a lot of time actually to do much there. So it looks like a lot on paper. Brett's joining us now to talk about this. Brett, you see all the X's all over the Atlantic Basin? There's an X everywhere. Some of them are red, which always alert me when they're red colors.
Systems are definitely showing a little bit more signs of organization, but as you said, I'm not certain that it's going to be extremely impactful.
Brett, hold on. Have you got an echo, or is it just here? And remember your echo thing. Do you hear it, Drew?
Take a look.
Hear an echo?
I do not.
Anybody else out there? Is there an echo?
Let us know in chat if there's echo when you guys.
Anyway, go ahead. Do you hear an echo in your head?
No.
Okay. Could just be me.
No.
Could just be me.
It may be the room that I'm in.
Pork Chop says there's an echo, though. And when Pork Chop says there's an echo, you got to believe him.
Let's take a look here.
I think I'm fixing it. Give me just a second.
Yeah. We'll figure
All
it
right,
out.
now I think we
Thank
got
you,
it
guys.
fixed.
Check. How about now?
That's it. Go.
Perfect.
All right, perfect. Yeah, we're down on the Gulf Coast. I'm going to move tomorrow and head toward the western Gulf Coast there, that area where that little pocket of disturbed weather that's down in the Gulf's going to move inland, somewhere across Louisiana, Texas. I mean, you may see tropical depression, weak tropical storm form. I mean, if we have more time. I mean, those sea surface temperatures down there are just brutal. What my angle I think is going to be on this is the potential for any type of training that could set up with any flooding possibly. You see a little spin there though
A little bit.
on the modeling as it tries to move its way across the Gulf. So just really depends if we can get a centralized area of low pressure. There's not a lot of shear down there, and the waters are hot. So uh, don't expect a ton, but you can see that thing there. Try to wrap though as it gets there's south of Houston, maybe Corpus. There in that model run.
Let me move forward here a little bit. So there's the curl that he's talking about with the low pressure offshore there at 1006. That's
Right.
going to be on the 22nd, the morning of the 22nd. It's coming on shore there, maybe a little open on the south side, but uh, we really don't know unless you do. I'm gonna say I don't know something, and I don't know what's gonna happen with this stuff in the Gulf of Mexico with the water temperatures like they are. I mean, and I'm sure it's deep too. I'm sure that water temperature goes down past 100 feet. It's going to be, upwelling's not going to stop anything this time of the year. Everything should fire like big time.
That's the funny thing. We've got so much unprecedented warmth of the sea surface temperatures. Matter of fact, down here, I'm in Biloxi right now, Dave, and we're dealing with a fish kill along the
Yeah,
rivers here
I heard
because
that.
the
Yeah.
water temps are sky high. And some of the boaters here, I know several charter captains here, and they're concerned about those waters, continuing to warm here, Biloxi Bay, the Back Bay areas, all the inlets, because they're seeing those fish die upriver. So these water temps, they really would love for this system to come a little bit further to the north because any kind of cloud cover and rainfall would help that situation. But it really doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like this is a Texas, maybe a Western Louisiana deal.
Yeah. So what do you think about the rest of this crap out there into the open area? Have you studied that enough to have a feeling about it?
A little bit. The stuff way out east, that just tells me recurve. Those look like they have recurve written all over them. But there is a pretty good area of high pressure, as we call the Bermuda High there. That is established somewhat, but I think that there's going to be some weaknesses that allow those far east systems likely to recurve as we get a boundary that comes down into the southeast U.S. But the one down there that is entering or going to enter the Eastern Caribbean, that one probably is the most favorable in terms of a track. You can see a little closed low and an open wave there at times, but it actually recurves too and goes across Western Puerto Rico and the Dominican. And that one actually has kind of sights set maybe on Bermuda even.
Yeah.
But Bermuda is such a tiny island. It's very hard for them to get a direct hit. But look at that. That system, that last one there gets trapped underneath the front and it jets east and then it just kind of almost Fujiwara's and does a little
Right there
circle
at
there,
the
hangs
end. I
out,
saw
right? Yeah.
that.
So weird pattern.
It is a weird pattern, and now that we've already started having cold fronts go through, that sets up the southwesterlies to be pretty dominant down here for a little while. And again, a lot of this stuff is just unprecedented. I I don't remember the water temperature being over 100 degrees. A friend of mine, Mike Leba, who works down in South Florida, a meteorologist, was just telling me today that I think it's the Penobscot snorkeling area there. He and I used to go down there near Key West, and that water temperature is like 100. It was 101.3 at 2 meters. So at 6 feet, it's still over 100 degrees. Now it's like 8 foot of water, so it is shallow and dark, and you've got an albedo thing going on there. But this is again sort of. I just couldn't tell you exactly, and I love to say that I know a lot, but I don't know what's going to happen here when it comes to the big deal. Red Ford says giga hugs. What's
All right.
that? Do you know what that means? That's something about
Good.
me, and
I think that was in response to Craig's Giga Storm. He said,
oh, okay,
maybe.
okay.
Uh,
Oh, Gigastorm. I didn't
gotcha.
read up
Giga
far enough.
Storm. Yep.
Brandon Jarvis is with us tonight. Brandon is working at another deal. I think he's Burger.
He's up north in the cheese state. I think of Wisconsin.
Yep.
Yeah, he hangs out there a lot. And then the
Boy,
rest of you, thank you for being on with the CG. Is Hawaii getting hit? Let's talk about Hawaii a little bit, Brett. You know more than I do about it. I know you've got some of your guys that are over there. What an unprecedented thing that happened there too. That's just nutty, just crazy, insane that what happened there. And have you heard anything from there? I know Brandon was over there a little bit. Did we lose him? B
He's
frozen.
frozen. Maybe we'll get him back.
I felt like he said he was standing in the ocean there, and then he said he was not.
Yeah,
I think he's standing in a casino.
Yeah.
If we're
He just dropped out of our control panel here. So maybe we'll get him back in a minute.
he knows once he's pulled the one arm bandit, he'll be back.
Yep.
But everything that happened in Hawaii, how unbelievable that was. I mean, I've seen some of the video, and I'll tell you, the first hour or so that some of the videos were coming out, Drew, on Twitter, I thought it wasn't real. I thought this is apocalyptic. It can't be real. Brett, you're back with us. What do you know about that situation now? And I mean, just from what you've heard, I know you got guys over there.
Yeah, we've got a couple of guys that have been in and out of there. Brandon has made his way back into California for Hilary as it comes up into the LA basin there. But bad situation. They've been dealing with some hot conditions, some drought conditions over in Hawaii, and had a big hurricane go south of the island. And actually, what transpired was we had downsloping winds, also the mountains there, and Lahaina. That's where you saw all of the devastation. The fire really, got sparked. Likely, I'm not going to speculate, but from what we're hearing is it could be possibly due to the slapping of the power lines and getting those arcs going.
Right.
And very difficult situation because they're on an island. The water's pumped. You have to use electricity to pump said water, to fight that fire at that point. So that sparked, and due to those intense winds from the northern side, the hurricane was well south of the island, so they really didn't see anything in the way of rainfall. But the winds, those gradient winds on the northern side, going over the mountain, some of the mountainous terrain there caused some downsloping, and that fire just roared westward. And unfortunately, I know we've got over 100 fatalities now. Likely from my folks on the ground, we're likely going to see a whole lot more once they really identify those people. So it's unfortunate. Oahu actually had a fire a couple days ago too, with the passing of the other tropical system that went south. I think it was Greg was a tropical storm, and had some windy conditions up on the islands there, and there was another fire. It wasn't anything as catastrophic as what Maui dealt with there, but still unfortunate. And you gotta remember dry areas, whether it's lightning from isolated thunderstorms that pop off when they're in a drought. You definitely see fires pop off.
Yeah, and I did see it was yesterday, so I know it's a fluid situation, and minute by minute, really, the information's coming in. But yesterday they said, even with 100 people that were known fatalities, that it was only like 2 or 3% of the amount of homes that they had checked. I mean, a couple of people here are saying 1,000 are still missing. I would say that's pretty likely. That was a very densely populated area there, and the harrowing stories coming out of there. I mean, I saw people who were actually tweeting in waist deep in the ocean when that was all going on. So certainly thinking about everybody there with what is happening. Brett, we talked a little bit, Drew and I did, about this system. I'd love to hear you chime in here about what's happening. Already we got a little bit of weakening going on with Hilary coming on shore. And I mean, I just sort of gave my perspective. It looks like it ends up well east of all the big cities on the West Coast. So there'd be an offshore wind for the majority of that. But what are your expectations there? Brett?
Kind of the same. The rain's a big story.
Yeah.
If that ends up being a big story, the system is definitely undergoing rapid weakening now. The surface low pressure is weakened a lot more rapidly than anticipated. So, the winds. There's going to be some gusty winds out there, but it really just depends on where rainfall sets up. That area is possibly could take a total year's worth of rain in a matter of a day and a half, and or for them, so that's
You're
an
right.
unprecedented deal. 6 inches of rain for some of those areas is a year's worth of rain. So we've got to watch that pretty carefully. But luckily, it looks like a lot of it's going to stay east of the major cities, the major populace. Honestly, Las Vegas could be one of those areas
Yeah.
that does have population that could deal with a big hit from it. And unprecedented with this as well. I mean, Southern California's never had tropical storm warnings before, and here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, and the watch went out yesterday too. I mean, uh, and I'm not really sure that everybody knew exactly what that meant at the time. I mean, I talked to a couple of people over there who were like, "So, what does this necessarily mean for us?" And I said, "It is kind of self-explanatory. That means you keep watching to see what's going to happen here." But and the other thing that we were kind of looking at, some of the new models had a forward motion of about 45 miles an hour. So if there's a saving grace at all, I think it's how fast this stuff is moving across the area. Andrew writes us from New Zealand, and somebody said hello, mate. And Georgia wrote us from maybe Georgia, and she says I need to drink some water.
Yeah, that you can see there the graphics Drew has below that. I don't even know that system is that compact at this moment. It's unraveling really, really rapidly. That area over there is just really cool waters off that Baja coast.
Yeah, that's the worst. I don't even know what to
Yep,
look
it's
at.
already getting it. Well, look at the oblong look on the visible side, not the visible satellite, the infrared imagery up in the upper left there. You can see just as we've been on here, it's just looking worse and worse and worse. It may. I'll be surprised if it's a tropical storm by the time that it gets into Southern California. To be honest.
I tend to agree with that. This is the clean IR, the infrared image coming in here, and a lot of dry air already being picked up and pulled into this thing. Let's see if I can get it. There we go.
Mhm.
Get it a little further north there. A lot of dry air coming on the western side of this. There are thunderstorms wrapping around here. Center's not anything like it was yesterday, where you had a gigantic. It was like 50 miles wide at one point. The eye was, but it was very well. It was very clean. Uh, and then it's kind of already, as you said, alluded to the fact that it's kind of nasty looking here at the mall. It's great news. I mean, I don't think anybody wishes for the extreme of any of this coming on
No.
shore. And I think, like you said, if you're looking at some of the higher winds, I mean, it's not really unusual for Southern California to have 45 mile per hour winds coming down the canyon. So I think maybe everybody's
Right.
pretty well into this. But anyway,
The burn scars are one of those
that's
issues
true.
that could
Yeah.
be problematic with, the flooding. That's the biggest deal with the rainfall. You're going to see some land and probably mountain slides there, rock slides, due to some of the burn scars that, that area has had over the past year, especially down there in Southern California. So,
Yeah.
but, uh, but
Uh,
yes, that's kind of the biggest part of the story to me.
yeah, I didn't think about that actually, about the burn scar, because I know that's always a big story, a national story, especially when you sort of get this thing. It's obviously you're not moving anything further west. Look at that. I mean, there's a big blocking area there that's not letting it go further to the west at this point. So you got
Right.
all the cloud cover and everything. The other thing that it might help, Brett, here is I was looking at some of the modeling that took a lot of this moisture even as far to the north as Edmonton, Alberta, where they've been having all the fires. So I was hoping some of that would get a little bit further to the north there and help those people out, because I know that's been horrible.
Yeah, and they've had a rough hand dealt. I'll tell you what's interesting. If you zoom that out and show that whole perspective right there, look at the influence of how large that system has
Yeah.
become. It's even kind of connected with our convection across the Gulf of Mexico. That area there, just south of the Florida Peninsula, is our area of disturbed weather that's going to continue to kind of push to the west. And it's what we're watching for the possibility of tropical development over the next couple of days in the Gulf of Mexico. So it's very interesting how large the scope of that system, even though it's weakening rapidly now.
So, Drew, you want to add to that? I can sort of tell you're itchy and you don't agree. So, what
No,
is your point?
I'm trying to answer Noah right quick. Is California still in a drought? Parts of Eastern California, yes. I just looked up the drought monitor and just going to jump in. And there's a level 1 moderate drought, San Bernardino County up through Inyo County and also Riverside County, all the way down to Imperial County on the eastern side of California, where it borders Nevada and Arizona. That's probably going to go away after the storm comes through, if I had to guess. But yeah, just a small area of moderate drought elsewhere in the state of California, except very northern parts. No drought classification after all the rainfall we had back earlier this year.
That is helpful. Mary Ann Nolan, she says she's hearing that the storm is breaking up and won't be as catastrophic as first said. I didn't really hear that word catastrophic. So if that's from the local people there, yeah, you can call them and tell them that they're full of uh, vigor or something because I don't think it's catastrophic at this point. It really surprised me. And if there was anything that was catastrophic about it, it would have to deal with rainfall at this point. They have to deal with some area that just happened to be stuck in a vector and a fetch that was coming in on the east side of this to just drop a bunch of rainfall. So I don't think there's no such thing as storm surge about this. This is an offshore wind that'll be taking place throughout its entirety. It's a lifetime. It'll be offshore. It's an east wind that'll be coming in during the day tomorrow, the first part of the day tomorrow. It'll leave as a north wind as it goes further to the north. On the western side of it, it'll be a north wind. So there's no such thing really as a storm surge here. I would guess into the Gulf of California. I don't know, is there anything up there in the northern Gulf of California, Brett, that could get a surge?
I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see much of a surge at all. That area up in the Baja there, I had someone say something to me today about a surge in the Baja area, in between the Baja and Mexico. And, this isn't going to be the type of thing. There's a lot of land there that's going to block a lot of water movement. And this thing's very, it's weakened quite a bit now. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of that.
Craig's on his way to buy milk, bread, and toilet paper. And T. McDaniel says the storm surge is when the ocean rises. Very good. Good call there. I live by
Let's
the
let's uh
sea.
let's address something else too that's really crazy. I don't know if you guys have addressed it and touched on it too much, but we've everybody knows it's been really, really hot, across the South, and it looks like I don't know how, but it looks like we're going to get hotter as we go into this week.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Uh,
GFS was showing 150, like almost 115 across portions of Mississippi by Wednesday, Thursday around the Jackson area.
I saw
And
some areas of Louisiana today down, I think it was near Baton Rouge, if I'm not mistaken. All-time hottest temperature ever recorded, 109 degrees in central Louisiana today. So
let me
incredible.
see where that was because I actually saw that. I want to say it was Alexandria.
Might have been.
take this thing over my shoulder here. Take my other computer for a second. We'll
Okay.
look at the NDFD stuff here real quick and see what kind of
Let's
record
Yeah,
I can do.
Alexandria broke the all-time high record, all time. Lafayette broke their all-time August record, and then Manhattan hit 115 degrees today. Manhattan, Kansas.
You should
Today
be
it
on it, Pete.
was.
So
Yeah, that's what
what's
I
that?
didn't want. Hold on here.
Oh, in DFD.
Yeah, here's some of the like end of the day tomorrow. Records are like across the central U.S. here. Those are a lot of records there. 107. There's another Kansas. You were talking about Kansas. What's that? 109. Salina.
109. Yeah, I was talking to buddy Matt Grantham down at the Weather Service today, and he was saying that the one of the co-op sites there. I want to say it was Topeka hit 110, and that was its all-time record for the co-op site today. So I don't know
So,
that.
yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking at that
This
now.
is
What
a
does this
record. The
say?
109 would break a 106 if that's the case during the day tomorrow from 2003. Um,
Oh wow!
like
So
you
those are the
said,
forecast highs for tomorrow to break records.
yes. Yeah, the 109 is
Gosh.
which would break it by 3, so you got to figure that's maybe a given, unless a thunderstorm or something weird happens. Shreveport 109 tomorrow would break a record of 108 if that took place. 2011 was the last time that happened there. Lake Charles 102. The record's 103, so that's a close call. Sort of a situation. And like you said, Jackson at 103. 104 is the record. Monday, that doesn't change very much. On Monday, those record highs again sort of migrate a little bit here and there. And actually, they kind of show up everywhere again. Tampa's getting close to record highs there, the 96, 97 that you see there on the graphic. Even DC at 95 would be a record if that's the case on Monday. If that actually happened. Then Kansas at 110. That's Salina again, I think, at 110.
That
Wow.
area is going to get really hot.
1922. That's a record high of 108 and 22.
Crazy, crazy to think, but that's why a lot of that area of the country could use a tropical system to just come up into that ridge and try to help cool it off. But I don't really think it's going to happen. I think it's going to go right around the periphery of it.
These are record high lows, minimums.
Lows.
Yeah, look at these into the 80s here. Dallas 84 is a morning low on Monday morning. That'd be a record high minimum.
Wow.
And that's what really
And
gets you if you think about it. Because,
yeah,
when they issue the heat advisories and these excessive heat warnings, a lot of times you have to have that really high morning low criteria, not just the afternoon heat as well. So,
and then
yeah,
there's
just
a cluster into the central U.S., like right along the Mississippi downward, really. That's 40 records that could be broken in 12 ties on Wednesday. Again, I don't know if you can see this, but that Wednesday the 23rd to be 40 records with 12 ties. Thursday be 36 records, 32 records on it. So it's kind of a prolonged event here. And look at those at the
It
bottom.
doesn't
Those are
show any
minimums.
signs of breaking.
Yeah.
Does not show any signs of breaking down either. It's just a lot of people don't understand. They think June, July are the hottest times of the year, and that is not the case. August, September to me, especially across the central southern U.S., has just been brutal. Especially last couple of years, but this year it looks like it's going to take the cake.
Yeah. Good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Um,
Um,
have you got another
but
thing to pull out of your hat like that? Because that was pretty good. This is
that's
even next
kind of what
weekend. Look at next weekend on the
I
Gulf
know.
Coast. So
It's
the Gulf,
brutal.
the water in the Gulf's not gonna not gonna break
keep
anytime
getting
soon.
hotter. Just
Yeah.
keeps getting hotter.
That's what I'm saying. There's no way that and then like I said, the ecosystems. We talked about a lot. There was a lot of talk about Key West earlier in the year, what, a month ago, where they were having water temps down there near 100 degrees, and then you had they're worried about the reef bleaching that was going on down there and destroying the ecosystem for the fish. I mean, this is still, if you get prolonged heat like this for much longer, even up along the Gulf Coast, you really have to start worrying about your fisheries here, the inland fisheries especially. They're going to go there if they're wise. They're going to try to go out toward deep water. Um, but it was hot. I went fishing a couple weeks ago, and at a 125, 150-foot depth, the waters were still really, really warm. So with this heat ridge not showing any signs of breaking down, just and it's not a good scenario.
That'd be wild. That would be gosh. I just I can't sort of grasp the whole meaning of that, especially where we're going with that, and again, Brett, with I don't know if these fronts that are coming through North Alabama up here for me are making it down in your direction at all. But, dude, I wore a light jacket yesterday morning. Uh, we were in the 50s here. Now, I got a little elevation here in the northeastern corner of Alabama, but it was
We
amazing.
had some mornings. We had some mornings down in the 60s for a couple days this week. It was great. It
Yeah.
was dry. That was a kicker. When the dew points are in the our dew points around central Alabama, we had some sort of moisture pooling going on. Our dew points were in the 79 to 82-degree range there, from Childersburg, Sylacauga to over to Shelby County and Jefferson, and
In the middle of
that
the
was just
day.
terrible. Yes, yes. Typically winds mix and we get drier at the surface. You might stay up near 100, but the dew point drops, so it doesn't feel as brutal, and it's a little windy outside. Not this time. It was just, I mean, just that awful, almost tropical like, except there were no clouds. It was sunny, and you
Yeah.
wanted to jump in a river or in a pool or move
You
out of the
didn't get that
state.
nice sea breeze like you get on the Gulf when you've got those 80-degree dew points. Yeah, that was
Well,
it's different for sure.
you talk to meteorologists down here, and that's been a big issue this year too. There hasn't been a sea breeze. I've been down here for 2 days, and there's no sea breeze.
Yeah.
Um, we're not getting that afternoon convective development right now. There's the tropical stuff that's going on in the Gulf is down there along the boundary right now, so that's impeding it a little bit. But these coastal temperatures, where you're seeing all these crazy records, the sea breeze usually helps cool that off at some point during the day, so that they don't just see those sky high temperatures. It's a little more interior where you usually see those records be broken. So these coastal communities that are seeing these crazy numbers, that's just indicative that we don't have a sea breeze. We haven't had one for, I mean, a month or longer.
Yeah.
It's just been crazy. We did have an early June where we actually almost had a severe weather season there across the South in June, with tornadoes and crazy stuff that was unprecedented there too. And now we've flipped the switch. It's like, no, we're not going to do that anymore. It's just going to be hot.
Yeah, I just don't remember anything like this. My neighbors have been asking me, "Have you ever seen anything like this?" And I just don't remember anything really like this. Um, the last 6 months, really, I guess you could say, in particular, in the severe weather season. Jim Stefkovich sent me a note the other day. He's the meteorologist for the state of Alabama, and he mentioned that. He said, "Dave, well, first of all, he said I was older than him, but I don't think I am. But he said, you've been around a lot longer than me, but have you ever seen 80-degree dew points into the middle of the day and severe weather that didn't have anything to do with tropical weather coming in?" And it's into August, and I don't. I remember the earliest I remember severe weather kicking off in my lifetime, Brett, was September the 16th of 1996, when we had like 40 tornadoes in central Alabama. Warnings, tornado warnings. My first day of work at the Birmingham station. So in the last 30 to 40 years, I don't remember anything like this. And so we're kind of wondering what happens into the long term with all of this. We got somebody from Australia, Tyler Sherry's from Australia. Zach calls with us tonight. What do you think about Pennsylvania's weather, Brett? He specifically wanted you
Let's
to
see.
answer that. Zach calls.
Uh,
What do you think
well,
about
David,
Pennsylvania's
let's.
weather?
I think they I hope they're cooler than we are right now. Um, honestly, they've had some pretty active weather up there this year. They've had a lot more in the way of convective stuff over the last couple of months, which is typical. Troughs are usually going further toward the north, so they've been dealing with some damaging storms lately. Yeah, I know they just had a round move through. A friend of mine is up in Rhode Island. They had a confirmed tornado up in Massachusetts the other day. So some
Yeah, I
pretty rough
saw
stuff up
that.
in the north.
I
Yeah.
saw that. That's pretty odd as
So
well.
it's going to be warm. It's going to be warm. We're going to continue to deal with heat here and there. Well, not really here and there. Pretty widespread across much of the country. I don't really see a lot of that changing. So I'm hoping for a pattern breaker at some point, or something tropical, even if it's just a tropical storm. That would be ideal. Not a lot of damage, but get some rain, get some cloud cover, and hopefully that would help settle some of this heat.
Yeah, I got a little thing about I-90 being closed just a second ago from the DOT. I-90 is closed, but where is it? On Sprague and the US 2 interchange at mile marker 277. Where is this, though? Um, I think that's pretty far to the north. I think that's in Washington. Just came across my feed there, but Zachary and then Scruffy. Is it Scruffy? 20 miles from San Diego, just cloudy right now. And Zach says it's been pretty crazy. So thank you all again for joining us here. Numbers, I drop off, but our numbers are going up here. And don't want to, if you got a question, please ask us a question. We'd appreciate it. We've kind of said everything that we can say about, what's really happening here, showing you what's going on into the middle of the Atlantic, and we've kind of given you our opinions about what's going on as far as we can see it here. Have a bad feeling. Tyler says got a bad feeling about the Gulf of Mexico. Just got a gut feeling about the Gulf of Mexico. There can be a major hurricane. Sure, there can. There can be. You can have them late. I was in school at Florida State University, and we had them. You can have them near Thanksgiving and beyond. And we've even had a couple of cases into early December, and it may just be a prolonged hurricane season this year, just because they, proclaimed that November the 30th is the last day. That's just on the calendar, so you can't tell Mother Nature that that's the last day anything can happen, obviously. So that could certainly be the case, that everything happens with a little bit of a later date to it. It's all really dependent on the water temperature, and it's going to take a while. It takes quite a bit of time, Brett.
It does. Again, a lot of questions are being asked about what could happen. Well, here's the thing: anything could happen. You can see we've got several disturbances across the Atlantic Basin right now. Those have got a lot of water to work with. Now there's some shear here and there, but the Gulf of Mexico is pretty hot. That's the reason we're having to keep a pretty close eye on this storm, because some model runs have blew up a system in the Gulf, here and there with this. So we got to keep a watchful eye. I mean, given the oceanic content, the water depth, and the thermal numbers, there's a very high ceiling for anything that could develop a spin, because there's just not a ton of shear there. So, if we were to get a surface low to form earlier than forecast, get a spin circulation to it, we'd really have to be careful with that, because it's got all the fuel. I mean, like you said, no upwelling, no cool water really to upwell. It'd be a very, very deep
Yeah.
upwelling. I mean, we would probably need 3 or 4 systems to come across the Gulf before we started to upwell anything at this stage.
And by the way, I mean, one of the steps to all of this, especially when all the media attention came into El Nino. I remember when there was no such thing as El Nino. We didn't call it that. And I remember when the media got a hold of the term El Nino, and then like the very next day I was at a grocery store and a guy walks up to me and he says, "That El Camino, it tell you what, that thing is just nasty this time of the year." And I think we're all going to pay our dues for that. But the big part of that used to be that there was a huge fish kill in Peru, off of there, because of the fish kill that would take place due to the currents there that would always be altered in this sort of situation, and they're just not going to, we don't really know some of the specifics of what might actually happen if this is the case, if we go through the rest of the year like this. Looking at the satellite imagery there, by the way, there is some banding that shows up in this infrared image here just south of, north of Trinidad, east of Trinidad and Tobago, it looks like, but down there south of the Antilles Islands, a little bit of a nocturnal flare that we can see going on there. So, but it's also interacting. There's a little Fuji going on right there, B.
Yeah, I see that. It's
Tiny
it almost
Fuji.
looks like you're starting if you look at that, it looks like you're starting to get a little bit of outflow spreading over it. Broad circulation at this point, but again, that area that it's entering, given that it is not a developed system, we call that the Caribbean graveyard there in the Eastern Caribbean, for good reason. There's a lot of sinking air there because to the north and west, you've got all the mountains of Puerto Rico and the mountains of the Dominican and Haiti. A lot of the air, because you're dealing with a cyclonic circulation, when air's rushing toward a low, when you get downsloping all those off those mountains, you get drier air that actually funnels into some of those systems. So it's really hard to get a storm to form right there, and if it doesn't have just a huge moist envelope, sometimes it can disrupt it. So going to be interesting to see what that one does. It's a little further south though, so it's got a shot, and NHC's got that one as a code red with a 70% prob over the course of the next 7 days as well.
And then I guess is that the projected low into the Florida Straits there that we're seeing that it's getting
That
together?
is, it is. It's trying to get together. It might be a good idea to look down there and see what kind of meteorobs we've got in the Florida Keys,
Hold on.
just to see if we have anything that resembles any kind of a circulation at this point. But that's where it's going to be. It's going to be down there pretty, just to the south and east of Key West at this point, it looks like. So,
Dave, while you're pulling that up, just looking at chat, I've got Josh, North
Burnham?
San Diego, checking in. He's asking, do we have any info on potential moves to the west for Hilary? He says he's seen some models that show this, but most of the local news calls for a North Baja landfall. I know what you're talking about, Josh. I think the European was one of the models I saw earlier today that you kind of wanted to pull the center of that storm a little bit further west towards San Diego. And earlier model runs last night of the Euro tried to keep that thing right offshore, but most models I've saw today just really want to keep that east of San Diego, really between San Diego and Las Vegas. So is it possible? Well, anything's possible, yes, but I think our best bet right now is to continue to monitor the National Hurricane Center official track, because if they start shifting that thing a little bit further west, then, okay, we got something we might need to look at. But as of this point, they're really, really pretty confident on their landfall point being south of the state of California, near Baja, and moving that thing in really quickly and continuing to push it north as well, and not moving it a little bit further west. Hope that answered your question.
What were you wanting to look at the meteors about, B? Is he going? Did he fall down?
I
Potty.
didn't notice he jumped off. Yeah, he
He
was
may have
talking about the
potty.
Florida Keys. See if we have any spin down there on the surface or any kind of.
Well, it's an east
Looks like-
wind. I mean, so I guess there is. There's a little bit of an east wind there, but it's also out of the south, across Cuba at the moment. At least it's a little
sorry about that, guys. Had to jump off for just a second.
Yeah, I was worried about you for a second. I thought maybe you fell down, and there was nobody there to help you get up. Get away, cat.
It does happen sometimes. I mean, it's all right. Banks is going to take care of everything over there on your end and knock everything down in just a few minutes.
It won't take long. And then before we leave the air, Drew, I need you to cue up the video that I sent you today, from earlier in the day, because I have to sort of tell my story before we leave the air here.
Yep.
But
give
we
me
need
just a
the
second to
audio.
get that-
You have to
Give me
have
a
the
second to
audio.
get that pulled up.
Yeah, pull that up. And Particle Beam is with us from Riverside, 60 miles east of Lower Alabama. And Jay Darkside, we just got an alert. What'd you get an alert for, Jay? I had
Yeah,
an
you see
alert.
all that disorganized stuff there.
Yeah, I had an alert because what's that? I had an alert because I had a raccoon on my porch a minute ago.
Huh.
Hey, can you drag that
I
window
got you.
over for me? I'll get that video loaded up if you
Which
can drag that
one?
window over.
Over where?
Discord. Put Discord over where OBS is for me, and I'll get that loaded up for you.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking you probably had a knock on the door from that bomb Rosario hit from Atlanta. I don't know.
Yeah, and I thought, I hate celebrating by myself, so when I go, boom, Rosario, and you take like 10 minutes. I'm doing the wave by myself, and so it really
I
looks.
know
It looks
it's
bad.
disheartening. I know it hurts. I've been there. I've been there with you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, unless you got something else to say, we're gonna kind of wrap it up here. I think. Is there anything else you want to
I
say?
think No, I think again we'll just be watching things. Several LSM guys are out in California right now. Make sure you check out the channel. We'll have content coming in as whatever happens out there. Got a little bit of like preparation work that's going on. The crews out there have actually been quite concerned again with the possibility of some flooding, mudslide efforts, doing some sandbagging even out there. So check out the channel. We'll have those videos uploaded, updated. We'll probably get back together, I would imagine,
Yeah, we were talking about it
um,
tomorrow, Drew and I,
tomorrow
and
night.
yeah, maybe a little bit earlier than tomorrow night. We might do some shorts and do some other stuff
Okay.
tomorrow. We'll just kind of see what kind of video that we have. If we have a decent video, we'll go. At least Drew and I will go on and let you know and see if you can participate there as well. Um,
Yeah, let's make sure that that we're definitely doing that. We're going to keep an eye on obviously whatever is left of Hillary by this time. You see how it looks now with the satellite image there. It is going to look even worse as we come back on tomorrow evening. It should be up into California by that time
yeah,
even.
Southern California. Yeah.
Um, and then we're going to we'll continue to watch the development in the Gulf. I'm going to move toward the west somewhere tomorrow along the I-10 stretch, so I will be somewhere west as we go into tomorrow evening, and we'll discuss these happenings, and we'll talk more about things again, guys. Everybody's tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, and again, share the channel. We're going to do these videos and more content, shorts. Drew's been doing a good job with that, as well as David. And we're gonna keep coming at you with hopefully some more exclusive type stuff over the next several months.
Yeah, so again, the tropical storm by tomorrow night, and they still keep it a tropical storm. That's a little bit different. I think in the new advisory, it's 50-mile-per-hour winds somewhere just south and east of Irvine, California. It looks like just coming a little bit east, we'll say there. And there's still a tropical storm warning, so they do keep that in effect there. And that's not a lot. I know a lot of Californians, you go through 100-mile-per-hour winds sometimes. It's not that, by the way, but when you have your Santa Anas, I know you go through a lot worse. I've been there before when it was a lot higher than 50 miles per hour. And it is our job here to keep you informed and to make sure that we can pass along some of our knowledge. Brett has quite a bit of knowledge up there that he releases sometimes. So does Drew as well. And I've been here for quite some time, and I feel like it's my responsibility at this moment to let you in on something that could happen to you, but it happened to me today, and so I'm going to make sure that it doesn't happen to you. Earlier in the day today, I had lost the tip of my pen. I told you about this earlier. My cat's laying on it now, but the tip of one of these pens right here, I had lost it, and so my roommate brought it to me, but she also brings me my medications, and so Brett, I don't know if you've heard this, but I swallowed it like a pill, and I asked her for water. She gave me water, and I swallowed it. And about an hour later, I walked into the kitchen, and I said, "So what did I just take?" And she said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "What pill did I just take?" And she said, "That was the tip of your pen that you've been looking for about a week." So I'd
Just a
swallowed
tip,
it.
thankfully.
It was just a tip. And
Just a tip,
so
thankfully.
she said, "I didn't." I said, "Yes, I did." She said, "No, you didn't." I said, "Yes, I did." And so I remembered I just bought one of those little, because my second job that I do is I look for gold. And so I'm also a prospector in my off hours. And so I had this little metal detector deal, and Drew, if you'll just roll it, we'll decide whether or not I did or did not swallow the tip of the pen.
I'm having to pull it up on my screen because I can't get it to load on yours. But
Can we hear it?
yes, we will be able
So
to hear
that's
it.
the
Give me
tip of the
just-
pen. That's the tip.
That's
Doesn't
what
it
it
look
looked
like a
like.
pill? I mean, I'm glad it wasn't a suppository, but doesn't it look like a pill? So I took it, and I swallowed it. It was dark in my room, and then here's how we found out that I did, in fact, Swallow it.
I don't
True.
want to know how you found out. I really
Yeah, you
don't.
do. Yeah, you do.
I don't think I do.
Give me just a minute. I think we're gonna be able to hear it. If not, then you're gonna have to. If
We
the
gotta be able to
audio
hear
don't
it,
come
Drew.
through, you're gonna have to come back tomorrow, and we'll get the audio.
Oh
loaded
my
in, but-
lord.
Yeah, what
Drew.
time did you swallow this? I'm curious.
4 o'clock. That's
Okay,
why
well,
I've
give
been
us an
sitting
update
here. You see
tomorrow.
my
We'll make
face?
sure.
Look. I can't hear it. Drew.
Oh, I can't hear it. No, hang on just a second. Let me see if I can add me a audio source. Hang on.
So
just
it
a
went. That was my metal detector there from prospecting. So we know. Did you hear him, Drew? Did you hear him? He said turn the desktop audio on for a second.
Well, I've got it on my computer,
Oh.
not Dave's. So I'm trying to point. Yeah, I'm trying to turn my desktop audio on, but it's not.
Anyway,
It's not coming. Yeah, it beeps. So guys,
It's
you're gonna have to come back
much-
tomorrow. We'll get
yeah.
it loaded in our normal computer.
nowhere near as effective
Yeah,
when I go beep 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 as it was at the time. But anyway, my job is sort of pass that along to you. Make sure you ask what you're taking, what kind
Yeah,
of pills
just
you're taking.
give us an update tomorrow on that, and let us know, where that stands.
Well, I've already checked, and my metal detector won't fit in the toilet in the bowl. But I'll just tell you how I feel. I'll just have to tell you how I feel because I'm feeling a little wonky here at the moment. I don't mind
I
telling
see
you.
an ER visit coming.
I feel a little
Yeah.
wonky. Well, I don't know how I'd explain it to the ER people, but
Just show them the video. No explaining needed, right?
but if there's not any audio
There you
on
go.
it, I don't want to show them the
Just,
video.
just show it to them.
No, you'll have
So-
audio on the video. It come through Discord, but I can't get it to
Yeah.
load into the stream. So there you go. Just walk in, show them your phone, and don't
Yeah.
even say a word.
This is right up there with Brett. You remember the time that I sprayed WD-40 on my pan when I was making pancakes instead of like Pam? I was using WD-40 and I got sick that time too. This is right up there. So anyway,
But then, chat, this is
there's-
definitely
there's
the
a little
first
bit of
time in this stream that somebody has ate a pen. So, David, congratulations. Mark this date, August
Well,
19th, 2023.
Well, you also got to find out. You also got to find out about the old Cracker Barrel recipe of the WD-40 pancakes.
somebody told me there was a battery in it, and I was like, seriously? There's a battery in the tip of those things? Now that ain't good. If there's a battery in there,
If
that's
there's a
not
battery
good.
in there, that's for sure going to be an ER visit.
That's not
So,
good.
Oh, I'm
Yeah, that
just,
won't
I
be good.
can't. I just can't.
No, it's my responsibility to help people out. So just make sure
We'll
that
get
you
we'll
know.
get that video loaded up with audio, and you guys that are here tonight, you've got to
Yeah.
make sure you come back tomorrow for the full and final version with
Yeah.
audio. Because I'm telling you, like David
Yep.
said, it makes it a whole lot different when you can hear the beeps of the metal detector.
Have you got the
in the
audio
video.
on my iPad?
You might
Dr.
have-
Dave, Medicine Man, will give us an update on his ailment tomorrow.
Yes.
I'd say I'd have video, but I won't. All right, I'm ready to wrap it up.
Right.
I really think I need to go lay down.
Sounds good. Well, guys,
Yeah.
appreciate you
All
guys tuning in. I've got to say a huge shout out real quick for a super chat we got just a minute ago. I almost missed Shirley. So, Shirley, thank you for that super chat here. We appreciate you for doing that. We
What is
appreciate
that?
all you
What's
guys
a
for
super
watching.
chat? What does that mean?
They can actually donate money to the channel here. So,
well, I
Shirley
could. I may have to go to the ER.
There you go. Well, Shirley's sending you some money for your ER copay.
It could happen.
Copay.
That might happen. All right.
All right, guys. Y'all have a
be
good night.
See you, B.
Hey, guys. Yeah. See ya.
Bye, Drew. And good night, all. I think I have to do it. I have to turn it off here, I think. Is this, oh, my word. Why won't that do that? There we go.
Boy, you